كيف حالكم؟ الحمد لله. Beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, Alhamdulillah, we praise Allah and salutations on our beloved Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. This evening we are in the third last lesson and session of Fiqh for this chapter and for the year, inshallah, before we take our break. And this evening we are looking at a very interesting concept. Many are not familiar with this concept in fiqh, but it is nonetheless one that should be known within communities, within couples, where this particular situation arises. So last week we spoke about the iddah, the types of iddah and so forth, the waiting period. And I start off this session by just quickly reflecting on the model of nikah as Allah had set it. That Allah places the husband, the man, as the leader of the nikah. And then there's a particular amana that he has and responsibility, that he is the financial provider to the wife, to the marriage. He has the right of talaq because he is also the one who invests financially into the marriage. That is what Allah expects from every man, that he looks after his wife and his children. And so what we are looking at this evening is acknowledging this point, that the man is the one who invests financially in the marriage. And what we are exploring this evening is the concept known as al-khula, which means a release from the marriage through the concept of compensation, of payment. Meaning the wife pays the husband to be released from the marriage. And so this is also studied in the chapter of divorce, because this is particularly for those scenarios where a lady would like to be, released from the marriage. Maybe she asks the husband for a talaq, and he says, no, I don't want to release you. The reason for your request is maybe unsound, whatever it might be. And perhaps deep down, the man acknowledges that I've invested too much in this marriage financially to end it. So I'll give a very classic example. The couple is married and the wife says to the husband, you know what? I want you to extend this room because I want you to give me cupboards, a walk-in closet. And he says, okay. And he extends the room, right? Maybe he takes out a loan or finance of some sort, because he's doing this in response to the wife's request. So he takes out a loan and he extends the room and he puts in the built-in cupboards. And then 1 month after the cupboards are in, she says, no, I'm done with you. See, the men make sounds like, how on earth can she make that statement? But this happens quite often, where the man now pays, he invests financially, and now the lady wants out. So in instances such as those, perhaps the man recognizes, well, there isn't really much of a marriage left, but he wants that money paid back to him for whatever expense that he knows he specifically incurred upon her request. We're not talking about nafaqah, of looking after the wife, but perhaps a particular request. If I look at the khul'as that I have overseen, supervised over the years, it might vary. Maybe the house is in the wife's name, the lady's name, and the man builds the garage, right? And now she says, no, I'm done with you. And he says, okay, now you must pay me back for the garage, because I paid for that. So what is the mechanism then that the couple may use? It is the concept of khula, in which the man specifies an amount. And once that amount is paid, the marriage is dissolved. So let's look at the text from the book, inshallah. So the author says, the Shaykh says, وَالْخُلُعُ جَائِزٌ عَلَى عِوَدٍ مَعْلُومٍ. وتملك به المرأة نفسها ولا رجعة له عليها إلا بنكاح جديد ويجوز الخلع في الطهر وفي الحيض ولا يلحق المختلعة الطلاق. The Sheikh says it is permissible for a husband to release his wife in exchange for a known item or service, right? Through it, in other words, through the khula, the woman takes sole control of herself and the husband is not entitled to take her back without a new contract. Release for the compensation is permissible during times of purity and menstruation. So here we find a difference already. Talaq classically should not occur during menstruation. But khulu' can occur during both purity and menstruation. And once a lady has been released, the man can't give her talaq. She's already released. Right? So khulu', we note a few points regarding khulu'. Firstly, the khulu' is recognized as a single, irrevocable mechanism of divorce. Meaning, if the wife had paid the amount, right? Many years ago, there was a case that I had to supervise. In fact, I was a consultant on the case. The case was in Cape Town, but I consulted from here. And what had occurred there was the husband specified that he wanted a particular item of furniture from the house, right? And all he wanted was that item of furniture be paid to him, because he spent a considerable amount of money on that item. And so the khula' comes about through an agreement where the husband says, okay, she will be released from this marriage if she pays X. Or as the text indicates, she does something, sweep the yard, I don't know. You can specify something, a service that is known. The lady then accepts that, and once the lady fulfills it, the marriage is dissolved. Once it has been dissolved, the husband doesn't have the right to take her back. So she then enters iddah, and the husband can't take her back. The iddah would have to conclude, and the husband could remarry her with a new marital contract. Okay? If they decide that is what they would like to do. But a very important point with regards to khula', it's an irrevocable occurrence that happens. So some points we must acknowledge regarding this model is that the agreement must be reached concerning what that payment will be. It cannot be a claim from the husband regarding nafaqah, looking after her. That was a duty upon him from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he can't say, I gave you an allowance for 10 years, monthly, I want that paid back. No. But it must be something that he can measure and calculate for it to be fair. A very well-known case of khula' that occurred in the last decade, I think, was a man in Saudi who had married a Canadian lady, a non-Muslim lady. And she got married to him and she moved to Saudi and things didn't work out. And so he notified her in accordance with Islamic law that if you pay me 100,000 riyals, then you are released from this. And his argument to the Sharia court was, this is what it costed me to bring her here, to set her up, her iqama, papers and all those things. This is what it costed me. The Sharia court accepted that amount, and they then decreed, as soon as you can pay 100,000, you will be released from this marriage. And she made quite a bit of fuss in the media, and she actually raised the money publicly in Canada via fundraising campaigns. And it made even headlines here in South Africa, but from a very different angle. But nonetheless, the model was then, publicly known that a man can stipulate an amount and a lady can pay it, and upon paying it, the lady is released from the marriage. It is a single irrevocable divorce, and it is applied once the payment has been made. During the iddah of khulu', the husband does not nafaqa the lady, because she had paid to exit the marriage. So he would not nafaqa her like he would conventionally during talaq raj'i, a revocable divorce. And then there's also a significant difference. The iddah for the khula is one menstrual cycle, not three. So for khula, the lady would be in iddah for only one menstrual cycle. So we conclude, inshallah, this lesson by acknowledging that the husband can release the wife on the basis of a payment or service rendered, but that agreement must be reached and parties must be aware of it. And then secondly, if that couple wants to get married again, it is possible through a new nikah. And the khulu' does not reduce from the utterances of talaq of the husband. Okay? Because this was through an agreement reached. What we should also just acknowledge here, not that couples have an intention of getting divorced, but often during divorce hearings, based on experience, the couple can't determine or agree on what was their understanding with large assets. So just a tip to all married individuals, just generally, because it will, if there's no intention of divorce, it definitely affects matters of inheritance. That if a couple, they are married, and one party says, you know what, let us buy this item, let us put our money together, or let us apply for finance of a car, whatever it might be, the understanding of laws of property must be clear between that couple, because it will naturally affect estate as well. So if the couple says, okay, we are going to buy a car together, be clear that, okay, you are paying 60%, I'm paying 40%, so you will own 60% of the car and I will own 40. If one party says, no, I'm paying, but once we are paid up, it is yours, then be clear on whatever understanding it might be, because this affects assets generally. And if the marriage, a huge problem that we've been encountering as well, maybe in the last 5 years or so in the city, many imams have discussed this, where the husband says to the wife, you know what, I don't have a good credit score, so you take out the product and I'll pay the installments. And then he leaves her. So this becomes a big issue, because now, many instances, houses, cars, loans, the husband says, okay, I'm blacklisted or I have a poor credit score. Can you please take this out? But I'll cover the payments. Now the couple gets divorced and the husband says, the product is not on my name, so I'm not going to pay for it. And then the wife claims, but you asked for this product and I took it out because you asked for it. Then we need to, of course, evaluate it from a fiqh perspective to provide a ruling. And if the couple doesn't accept it Islamically, then we write the recommendation for the courts to mandate whatever payment order has to occur. But what we are mentioning here actually is for any couple, be clear on the financial transactions. It's very, very important. Whenever you enter into an agreement with your spouse, just be clear. If the wife says to the man, you know what, I want, what is that expensive kitchen brand? That Smeg, mashallah. The wife says, I want a Smeg kettle. And so if the husband says, right, I'll buy the Smeg kettle, but if the husband did not say to her, this is yours, if he never transferred it, that Smeg kettle goes into the estate of the husband. So property is important, and we often have to, quiz family on this. But beloved brothers and sisters, we close this lesson, inshallah, regarding khula'. Are there any questions relating to it? No. So the question is, with regards to khul, does she have to get married again? No. It is only in the case of talaq ba'in, 3 talaqs. If 3 talaqs were issued, then the wife would have to marry someone else. But in the instance of khul', she wouldn't have to marry someone else. Yeah. Any other questions? So the question is, if khulu occurred and the man wants to marry the lady again, what must be the amount of time in between? She must complete one menstrual cycle for iddah. Iddah concludes, then she can get married again. He proposes, she accepts, she negotiates terms for the nikah, and he says qabiltu in the masjid again thereafter. No problem. If she had paid already and he received it, he doesn't return the money to her. Because she paid it, it became his. If she says, I want that for mahr, then of course, then they're in a cycle of some craziness, Yeah. Khair, inshallah. Jazakallah khairun wa sallallahu